Hi guys, and welcome to episode 53.3 of the 72 review. This is the quick catch-ups of League 2, League 1 and the Championship. In this episode, it is the Championship. Hopefully you've enjoyed the League 2 and League 1 deep dive, which were uploaded on Friday morning and yesterday morning. If you've not watched them yet, they will be linked at the end of this show. So please go ahead, check them out before we go do the live stream of the 72 review tonight, where we're looking across all three divisions on this weekend's fixtures, which we're hoping is a positive one for all our teams. But today, looking at the Championship, I'm joined by Ian and Jonathan. You'll have seen them from the League 2 review as well. So, Jonathan, say a few words about yourself, what you do, and why you do it, mate.
My name's Jonathan Harries. I'm a MK Dons fan for my sins, but I've got a vested interest in the EFL. Best three leagues that are going, always full of action, no VAR disruption. So I always look forward to watching it over the weekend.
Definitely, we don't want VAR down in the EFL for certain. And Ian, say a few words about yourself, mate, what you do and why you do it, especially this season.
I'm Ian, a 61-year-old Rotherham season ticket holder. I've been a Millers fan for 50-odd years. And when the Millers are away, I'm not daft enough to go and follow them. So I'm around the country doing blogging for Over the Bar YouTube channel.
And it's great stuff. I will link Jonathan's Twitter and Over the Bar YouTube channel in the description below. So please go ahead, check them out, subscribe to them and show them some love and support. So if you've not watched the League 2 and League 1 deep dive, as I say, please go ahead and watch those. But we just went through our early pre-season predictions and we're kind of looking at each team and seeing how they've got on so far. Are we there or thereabouts with our prediction? I think we've been okay with some, but we've had some absolute stinkers as well, and the Championship is no different. The fixtures that we've missed from me being ill as well will be ticking along at the bottom of the screen. So let's get into this one. Get that up. And we start with our 24th prediction, Queen's Park Rangers. And we're not a million miles away with this one. They're in the drop zone, but they are very close to getting out of it at the minute. They're on 20 points, Huddersfield just above them on 21. But they're one of those teams. We'll start Jonathan QPR. Under Ainsworth, it just didn't seem to quite happen. He seemed to have a magic touch at Wickham, but it just didn't happen at QPR, and it's just kind of continued, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, it's everyone knows my opinion on Gareth Ainsworth and his anti-football. It wasn't what QPR fans expected. They expect a different type of football, and this new manager that's come in, he's breath of fresh air. He's got their two main players, Elias Chair and Chris Willock, playing well, scoring goals, assisting. We all know how good Elias Chair is on his day. They probably need a bit more from Lyndon Dykes. He's never really set the world on fire for me when he's played. Asmir Begovic has stepped up. He had a good game against Hull recently where he kept him and they won. Maybe possibly should have won, possibly against Plymouth midweek, being with 11 men for over half the game. But they're slowly improving, and I'm going to say this now. I can't see them getting relegated under this new manager. He seems to have got them playing better than
turned a corner a little bit. As I've Sheffield Wednesday, which we'll get onto, they've started to slightly turn a corner. Rotherham, we will get onto, and I'm sure Ian will have a few words to say on those. So it's going to be a very tight.
1 or 2.
It's going to be a very tight battle at the bottom of the Championship table, as it always is. Moving on to 23rd, this is one of our stinkers. We went with Blackburn. I'm not sure why we went with 23rd for Blackburn. I'll have to go back and watch it for his reasonings, because I really can't understand why we put them this low. But they're managing to do bits in the Championship. Currently sit 9th with 10 wins but 10 defeats. So they've only drawn one. 34 goals scored, 34 conceded. Did they do this last season? I vaguely remember that there wasn't many draws for Blackburn, were there?
They either win or they lose. But
Yeah.
that's a stinking prediction. That, I mean, Smodics is on fire.
He is.
They came to New York Stadium first home game. Smodics scored twice. He just looks cut above. It looks Premiership ready. The rest of the team are bang average, or they can be. Gallagher can be good on his day, but defensively they're fairly sound, and it just looks like it just screams mid-table to me. So why we had them 23rd, anybody's guess.
Absolute stinker. A lot can happen between now and the end of the season, though. So I wouldn't hold your breath with this.
I don't think Blackburn will be in any danger.
No. Same with the next one. So Cardiff, we went with 22nd, and Lee around the grounds. Can't make it on tonight through work commitments, but he was a massive advocate for putting Cardiff higher. And I remember us kind of discussing Cardiff and the way that they played last season, and convinced him to put them in the bottom three rather than Rotherham or Sheffield Wednesday. I think that probably played on his mind a little bit. I think he was not wanting to put Wednesday in the bottom three on the preview. And we went with Cardiff because they had a poor season last season. But Jonathan, we've missed the mark with this one. I think currently sitting 10th on 30 points. They're having a decent season, aren't they?
Well, we certainly have. Certainly, I wouldn't have had them as high as 10th. I didn't know a lot about their manager. They signed a few players from abroad that I wasn't sort of clued up on. But I think from memory, August and September, they were playoffs for a while, weren't they? They were like top six, and they've only just dropped off recently. They've got a good striker in Carlin Grant again on his day. He can be hell of a player. Obviously, the return of the prodigal son, Aaron Ramsey, as well. Again, that's another good player. I don't think their home form's great at the minute. I know that they win midweek at home. I think they did. No, they lost to Birmingham home midweek. But I know their home form's not the greatest, but I can't see them in any relegation danger, to be fair. Might be a bit lower than they currently are, but I think there's worse teams in the league than Cardiff.
There is certainly. I think we've had a stinker with that one. Moving on to Sheffield Wednesday, and I think this one, the writing was on the wall in the summer, wasn't it? I think with the departure of Darren Moore, the statement after statement after statement from Chansiri, it's been a bit of a circus on and off the pitch. You've got Cisco came in, looked really lost, tactically inept, and the Chansiri's just kind of stuck with him a little bit too long. But they do look like they've turned a bit of a corner over the last couple of weeks under Danny Roll. It's like he's implementing his own sort of stamp on the team, and I think for me, along with Rotherham, I think there's a massive rebuild to be had potentially in January, leading towards next season. I do fear for Sheffield Wednesday, but having said that, and I'm going to say the same for you, Ian, with Rotherham, you're 8 points away from getting out, and I know form's a big player in winning games and confidence and things. If you're 8 points away from the playoffs, you'd still be looking at the playoffs as a target for the end of the season. So all it takes is that little flip and a little bit of confidence, a couple of wins on the bounce, and you're well back in it. So I do fear for Sheffield Wednesday. I do think they're down, but strange things have happened in football. Have either of you got anything to add for Sheffield Wednesday?
Well, I think the thing is with Wednesday is the summer recruitment was virtually non-existent. What they did, they took a good League One side who won the playoffs into the Championship without strengthening. That's always a recipe for disaster. And as a Rotherham fan, I know that for a fact. They have picked up a lot. They've got sort of like a siege mentality going under Roll, which is only good. I mean, they've started to score goals now. I mean, all right, they got beat at Norwich yesterday, but they scored. They scored a goal.
Yeah, and
that Cadamartri kid who's just got the new contract, he looks very promising.
Yeah, it looks decent. And you
Yeah.
mentioned them scoring goals. They
It-
currently have the
it's-
worst attack
The thing
in
is,
the division.
with Roll coming in, they've given themselves a little bit of a squeak. I'm
Yeah.
not saying a chance, but a squeak. I still expect that they will get relegated, but they'll put a bit of a fight up.
Yeah, and I think that was it. There was no fight, was there, under Cisco?
No.
And it shows because they've currently got the worst attack with 14 goals scored this season. So that needs to improve for them to stand any chance of avoiding the drop.
Mm.
It's all yours, Ian. We had you in 20th.
As it says on my banner, I've lost all hope. We've had 2 home games now with Swansea City and West Bromwich Albion. We never laid a glove on either of them. The players look deflated. The players look short on ideas, short on confidence. There doesn't seem to be a style of play. Liam Richardson coming in, as I'm encouraged by that, because if he's given the time and the resources to implement a style of play and to get players that he knows into the club, and I'm not talking about this season now, because in my opinion, and it's a controversial one, and Millers fans might crucify me for this, but I've written this season up, and I think the club should do the same. I think what we should do now is to start building for League One now, because away from home we're worse than useless. We're pathetic away from home. We set up for 0-0 every game away from home, and then when we concede in the first 20-25 minutes, it's damage limitation.
Yeah.
At home, we're a little bit more competitive, but again, when we go a goal down, the heads drop. We recruited in the summer really poorly. We got Cafu from Nottingham Forest, who played the first half dozen games and then got crooked. We brought another crock in Sam Clucas, who we might not see again this season. And also we recruited 3 defenders in Lee Peltier, Sean Morrison and Grant Hall, combined age are above 100. So, yeah, the thing is, what they are, they're mercenaries, and they're getting one last half decent payday. They don't care.
You need competitive
They do
players,
not care.
Yeah.
The majority of the squad do not care, and you can tell that. My plan of action is we've got 1, possibly 2, but 1 definitely saleable asset, and that's Victor Johansson, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, very good.
I think if we can get a very, very, very good fee for him, and I'm talking 5 mil plus, bank the thing, bank it until the summer, and then start assembling a squad to give League One a good go. Because at the moment we're going absolutely nowhere. So I'm not an advocate of us going out and trying to spend his way by keeping the championship that way, because I've just seen our fixtures before Christmas. We're not going to get another point. That is absolutely for certain. We're not going to get another point. So start planning for League One now. I'd like to be a little bit more optimistic, but I'm realistic in my opinion. Yeah.
Well, like I say, mate, Liam Richardson may help you start to turn a corner, and 8 points isn't a massive gap to make up with plenty of football still to play. But I think,
like you last season,
got to go down,
2 seasons ago when you got relegated from League One,
you can just feel it.
Turn up, you're going to get battered.
Yeah,
you just know it.
Yeah,
but it's just a question of whether your team can put up a little bit of a fight. And for the last 2 home games, they've just surrendered.
Yeah,
just completely surrendered.
So you're not travelling to Plymouth on Saturday, no?
No, I'll be elsewhere.
On to another team that we weren't far off on our predictions, Huddersfield. So we predicted 19th. They're currently in 21st. They flirted with the drop for a season or so, haven't they? And it seems like they're going to be doing the same this season, but it's one of the few, isn't it? I think Stoke are down there at the minute, QPR. It's all about kind of that little pocket of teams that are fighting for that final spot at the minute, or that's what it seems. Jonathan, any thoughts on Huddersfield?
Well, again, they've got a hell of a manager. I think all of us on the 72 review are huge Darren Moore fans. Obviously, he's managed two of our clubs as well, and he's just comes across as a brilliant guy. And I think a bit like Rotherham, I think maybe potentially they might write this season off. I can't see much quality in their side, as in consistent quality. The number one goalkeeper, Lee Nichols, I think is injured. They're depending a lot on Kasumu to start the attacks, and I just don't see if they'll get enough wins. I think Darren Moore's got to have them organised and have them resolute, but whether they've got the goals to survive, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure Ian would be grateful for the Yorkshire company down in League One if it happens. But
yeah, we might get a derby anyway. We might get one derby.
Yeah, I think you and Wednesday. That'll be it. Possibly Barnsley if they don't come up.
Yeah.
On to another stinker, Ian.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I think we went with 18th because there just seemed to be, I don't know, back end of last season they weren't really hitting any sort of heights, were they? And I think we just thought that was going to continue into this season, but how wrong we were. 21 games played, they've won 10, drawn 5, lost 6, they've scored 33, only conceded 21. So the scoring, they're pretty tight at the back. I mean, they played you midweek, Ian.
They didn't, like I said to you before we went on air, Dan, they didn't really need to get out of first gear, but they're strong everywhere.
Yeah.
They're strong. I mean, if you can have players like Matt Phillips and John Swift on the bench, you've got a good side there. They've got a good goalkeeper in Palmer. They've got massive, really good centre halves in Ajayi and Barkley. They've got a good defensive midfielder in Kipre. Going forward, they've got Jed Wallace. They've got Brandon Thomas Asante, Malumbi. They're just a quality side.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the hell we predicted 18th, but I would say, to me, I mean, and I've watched every Rotherham home game, they're in the top 3 of what I've watched. I mean, in quality. And I think the playoff certainties.
I'd agree with that from what I've seen of them this season.
Yeah.
18th, miles away. A bit closer though this time. We went with Plymouth in 17th. They're currently sitting 18th. I think they've started how we expected. A very good League One team that went toe to toe with Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday all the way to the end. And I think we thought that they'd ride that crest of a wave into the Championship and kind of stabilise in the Championship for a season or two. And it's a tough old place to go, Home Park. They're very well supported. It's a long old journey for anybody to go there, and that's kind of, it's a bit of a cheat code for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
The teams have got to travel down there and put on a performance at a hostile environment and a long old way from anywhere. And we thought that'd be an advantage for them, and it does show that it is. I mean, this season they've won 6, drawn 5, lost 10, scored 31, conceded 33. So they'll want to shore it up at the back. But I think where we got them and where they are now, I think that's probably where they're going to be come the end of the season, and it'll be a decent season, I think, for ATID and Plymouth.
I think they'll survive comfortably.
Yeah.
The home form is key as to any relegation threatened side. But they're very strong at Home Park, and they'll give any team a game there. And if they can pick up the odd away result, they'll be absolutely comfortable in lower mid-table.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're one of the best run, probably the best run club in the EFL. I know that's probably a big thing to say on this show, but you look at the way they attacked it after the disappointment when they didn't get promoted the first season in League One. They went the second season. They got the players they wanted. They backed the manager. The fact that Schumacher's getting linked for the Sunderland job just shows what a great side Plymouth are, and their chairman's just phenomenal. Just as you say, they're probably the best run club in the EFL.
Yeah, doing very, very well.
They've got a very good media department down there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another team that we're not a million miles away from in our prediction. We went with 16th was Stoke City, underperforming this season. Currently in 19th, 6 wins, 4 draws, 11 defeats. They've only scored 20 goals. It's an uninspiring performance so far this season for the Potters, isn't it?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, they should play us every week because they beat us 3-1 on the opening day and then beat us 6-1 in Carabao Cup. So they scored 9 against us. But, underperforming, I'd say, yeah. They certainly won't be challenging on the right end of the table. It's really because they've got some pretty classy players. I mean, I don't know, Alex Neil fell on his sword. It's a bit of a poison chalice, that Stoke City manager's job.
Yeah.
Because the fans' expectations are way higher than where they are. You know, they're a fairly sizable club for the area. But yeah, they'll survive, but probably by the skin of the teeth. But I still think they will survive.
Yeah, it's looking close at the minute. They're only 2 points above the drop, so they want to be careful not to get dragged into that and have some ground to make up. Another one, I think, especially in the Championship, I think if you're 3 or 4 places out in a prediction, you're not doing too bad because it's a very tight division.
No.
And we went with 15th for Watford. I think we expected about 15 managers by this point in the season, but I think they're still on one, aren't they?
Yeah, Ismail.
Yeah, they've not sacked anybody all season. It is incredible, and
there's still 5.5 months of the season left.
There is, but they are smack bang mid-table, and they've got a smack bang mid-table record at the minute with 7 wins, 7 draws, 7 defeats from 21 games. Scored more than they've conceded, but 28 points, 12th in the table. Do you think Watford fans will be happy with that, or do you think the expectations would be playoffs, Jonathan, or are they kind of happy? Well, I won't say happy, expectant of a mid-table finish this season?
I think they'd be content, particularly with, at least as it looks at the minute, they're keeping Ishmael. I think they extended his contract as well at some point, which is some form of miracle at Vicarage Road.
I think they put the corner flag up and everyone thought he'd been sacked and it was a contract extension. It threw everybody.
Yeah. But again, they're a bit like West Brom, a very organised side. They've got real good centre-back in Wesley Hoot. I know he made a mistake for the Ipswich winner midweek, but he's a good signing for the level. They've recruited again in Europe, which is what they tend to do. They've signed, is it Vajovic up top? He seems to be scoring a few goals, or Balovic or something like that. Jake Livermore, didn't realise he'd gone to Watford, actually. That's a cracking signing for the level. And I think because of the quality at the top end of the Championship, which obviously we'll get onto later on, it's always going to be hard for them to maybe push for a playoff. So if they can get a solid top 10 and push on from there, potentially if the league gets weaker next season, then they could give it another crack.
Do you think they're missing João Pedro? Because he was their, he was their number 1 man last season, weren't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're missing João Pedro. I think is it Ismail Sarr. That was the one. That was the one. He went
to Europe, didn't he?
Yeah, for me, he was the one that if they were struggling in the game, he would have the moment of magic and sort of the stardust. And I'm not sure they've got that currently in the squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 12th is probably a fair reflection on the squad and the way that they performed so far this season. Another one we were a little bit out on, 7 places so far, was Hull City. But I think Rossini's just got them playing decent football, hasn't he?
Yeah, we are. They're a good side. They're a very good side. I mean, Scott Twine coming in, what a signing he is for the level.
Yeah, Jonathan knows about Scott Twine.
Yeah, they're just strong all over. Cyrus Christie, they absolutely murdered us the other week 4-1 at Hull, and
Bloody hell, and
just,
even we beat them.
Well, yeah. Well, I know. I don't know how. Did they put a reserve side out now?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they've made a fantastic start in and around the playoffs. And if you can get the crowd going there, you've got a half a point start on the opposition, because they do get behind them up there. I've been to that ground a few times, and yeah, it's looking good for them. Possible. I'm not saying playoffs, but they're certainly in with a shout of them.
Yeah, they need to tie Rossini down as soon as possible. I know he's come out the other week and said that they're close, but he just seems like a manager that could potentially do well in the Premier League. He comes across in his interviews really well, always explaining his decisions, and yeah, that's probably the biggest signing that they need to tie down is the manager, just to keep the momentum going, really.
Do you know I'm delighted that he's doing so well up there, because he was threatened awfully by Derby. He was just discarded.
Yeah, it just shows give somebody a bit of time and a chance, and they may come through good.
Yeah.
Another team that is performing better than what we expected is Preston North End. We went with 13th, and they're currently not doing too bad. They're in 8th. 9 wins, 5 draws, 7 defeats. 27 goals scored, 33 against. So defensively, not quite solid enough to break into the top 6 for me. I think they're probably just missing that solidity at the back to kind of really stake a claim for a top 6 place, in my opinion. Obviously, Ben Whiteman, know a lot about him. Absolutely gutted that we lost him. I think one of the best midfielders to ever pull on a Rovers shirt, and he's showing that is capable at Championship level as well.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully he gets sold on and we get a decent chunk of that sell-on clause, but we will see if that happens or not. But yeah, I don't think they've got enough to break into the top 6.
No, I think your archetypal mid-table Championship side.
Yeah.
Capable of pulling off some spectacular results. They've got an exceptionally good manager in Ryan Lowe. They've got some really good players, but they're inconsistent. I mean, I like Brad Potts, the right wing back. I think he's probably one of the best players in the division. They've got Liam Lindsay at the back. They've got Ched Evans up front. They've got that. Is it Scandinavia that I can't pronounce his name? But he scores goals. But defensively, they can be weak. We drew 1-1 with them very early season, and we probably should have eaten them. But yeah, they're a good side. They're a decent side, decent Championship side.
Yeah,
mid-table, I'd say.
And sticking with the mid-table theme, we went with 12th for Bristol City. Not too far away at the minute. They're currently in 15th. A few words on Bristol City, Jonathan.
Well, again, another Championship side that have changed their manager. I think they might have stuck with Pearson for a little bit too long. It seemed like it was a little bit stale. They've got a manager in that I know of, Liam Manning. Did a phenomenal job in his first season, MK Dons. Was unfortunately the scapegoat when we weren't doing so well the second season. Always have a lot of respect for what he did. Did a cracking job at Oxford at the start of the season. Had them up as high as second, I think, before he left. And yeah, I think they might have to write this season off as another mid-table sort of side. Again, if they can get their fan base on side, I think that can be another cracking ground sort of to go to. I do like Anis Mehmeti. I think if they can build their team around him, I think they'll do more than fine. And as I say, they're a solid Championship side, as Ian said previously about Preston.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Now, on to Wayne Rooney's Birmingham City. What a mess they made with this one, in my opinion. Obviously, Birmingham fans, if you're watching, feel free to comment if you disagree or agree. Started the season off so well, and then decided to go with the big name manager, and it's not quite working out at the moment for you. It's just struggled to sort of continue the good work that was left, and they've just started to drop down the table. We had them in 11th. I think if they'd not swapped manager, I think we could be talking about them being in the playoffs still. But we're talking about them being down in 16th. So it was a strange decision, wasn't it? I think obviously financially and kind of a way of advertising.
It was a brand, wasn't it?
Yeah, it makes sense from a business perspective, but for me, it's just he's not a manager that has lit the football world alight as a manager. Fantastic player, but he's not. For me, he's not done enough to warrant a big move or kind of the expectation that comes along with him. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not.
To be honest, I mean, when they sacked Eustace, when they were 5th in the league when they sacked Eustace, I just absolutely couldn't believe it. The start of the season like an express train. You got Adam Stansfield scoring. Bakuna's one of the best players, one of the best wingers in the division, and they look really good. Soon as Rooney took over, they just went to jelly.
Yeah.
There is signs of him pulling it round. They had a fantastic win last week, and there's just the little shoots of recovery. They're too good to go down.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'll say that now.
Yeah.
That I don't think they'll be anywhere near the bottom 3. But yeah, it's a risky experiment that could work, but it's going to take time. It's going to take recruitment. It's going to take patience from the fans. But they could well get it right. But time will tell, I suppose.
Yeah, time will tell. We've just ticked over the half-an-hour mark. I want to get this done in about 45 minutes to not keep your guys' Sunday mornings too long. And we've still got 10 places to go. So moving on to Swansea, a difficult start for them. They've not really started how their fans would expect. We had them down as a solid mid-table team, but currently down in 17th with only 6 wins this season, 7 draws, 8 defeats. It's been a stuttering start, hasn't it, Jonathan?
It has, and the appointment of Michael Duff, I thought at the start was brilliant. I think he deserved that chance for what he did with Cheltenham and Barnsley, respectively. But as I tweeted out after the Ipswich game, when you know as a fan, when you get the right manager, you know it's good. And I don't think, no disrespect to Michael Duff, I don't think his style of play suits the way Swansea want to play.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, they've got a hell of a spine of a team, and Carl Rushworth, Harry Darling, Matt Grimes, and Charlie Patino as well. He's a good player, even though his goal against Rotherham shouldn't have stood. I don't know how that stood, but that's a conversation for another day.
Well, it's the luck we're having. It's the luck we're having. And don't forget Jerry Yates as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Jerry Yates, yeah. Considering they lost Pirro, that's still a decent spine of the team. And again, I think if they finish mid-table and get a manager in that knows the way they play and kick on again next season and see where it takes them, really.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough old season next season. On to Norwich. We're not a million miles away with this prediction. No. We've gone with 9th and they currently sit 11th. Slow start for Norwich. A couple of poor results had them down near the bottom, but seem to have picked up over recent weeks and months, don't they, Ian?
they're too big a club to struggle for long. We played them early season and beat them, and they look really, really poor. Devoid of confidence. They just looked at 6s and 7s against us. We should have put more goals past them. But like I say, the fans' expectations are very high. Obviously, being a recent Premier League team, and I think the second year now parachute payment team.
Yeah,
they should be doing far better than they are. One shining grace is Rowe that's come through the ranks and started scoring goals for them. Yeah. But they've got good players. They've got really good players. But yeah, they are underachieving. I can't see them getting anywhere near the top 6. But I think if they can come top half and build for next season, they should be okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think they're going to break into top 6 this season. And a tasty fixture coming up on Saturday, early kickoff at Ipswich. So I'll be
the old farm derby, isn't it?
Yeah. Moving on to Leeds. Boo. So we had them down as 8th. I think as the teams that came down, I think we had them as probably the more unstable of the 3, with Leicester and Southampton. We thought it'd take them a little bit of time to adjust to the Championship, and we were wrong. They are trying to keep up with Ipswich and Leicester towards the top of the table. I think there's a 10-point gap at the minute between 2nd and 3rd, which is incredible at this stage. But they're looking really strong out there. Somerville is a different level.
What a player!
Yeah. See, I'm one of those that, as a fan, I like to see all local clubs around us doing well until we play them. So, bit of tongue in cheek booing Leeds when they came on. I'd much rather see Yorkshire clubs doing well, but if you follow lower league football, you'll know that this year Yorkshire's not been very good at football for a number of years. But yeah, Leeds, Somerville, doing really well this season, aren't
they? And Pirro has been a hell of a signing for them from Swansea. Yep. They do look strong, but they look as though they can be got at. I mean, we scored twice against them recently, and I think. Yeah, they'll get playoffs, but I think Leicester and Ipswich look too strong, even at this early stage.
Yeah. Do you think?
I'm still a little bit. I'm not worried, but I'm still concerned about Meslier in goal. I think he can drop the occasional clanger.
Yeah. Jonathan, do you think Leeds have got anything or enough in them to catch up and overtake any of the top 2?
No. I think the top 2 are just a different level, absolutely different level. I've never known the top 2 in the Championship be this levels above. Even last season with Burnley and Sheffield United, I don't think it was that big a gap. But yeah, they're just that front 4 are just phenomenal. Dan James is now starting to score goals as well. Ethan Ampadu in midfield. That's just a cheat code.
Frightening, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that they've got 2 sides in the Championship that are just, as I say, level above, really.
Yeah. Talking about one of the teams which is a level above, we said last season the way that they absolutely demolished League One, that they had built a Championship capable team, but I think we underestimated how good Ipswich actually are. Current top scorers in the division with 45 goals, 16 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats. It's an incredible return to Championship football, isn't it?
You just look at that side and look for a weakness.
You've
got to look very hard.
Yeah.
You've got to. I mean, they've just taken like what any League One promoted side wants to do, taken the entire squad, put it in the Championship, and they've just been exceptional.
Yeah.
They've just been exceptional. I mean, you've got George Hurst, who I thought were absolutely rubbish at Rotherham. He's scoring goals. Chaplin is just a cheat code.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just done super. They've got Wes Burns, Defensively, the sound. You've got Sam Morsey popping in with goals every now and again.
I mean, it shows the other week
Ladapo
with Wes
getting the
Burns'
team.
goal, just like the level of confidence that they've got.
Oh, that has got to win the championship goal of the season.
Yeah, it's up there, isn't it? Just cuts in from the right, outside of the right boot, curled into the top corner. They're playing with freedom, confidence, and yeah, I'm very envious of Ipswich Town fans watching that level of football.
What is McKenna's stock now? McKenna's stock as a manager now. It must be going through the roof.
Yeah, be decent, won't it?
But they deserve it. They deserve it.
They do.
They definitely deserve it.
I think it's just a toss-up between them and Leicester, who wins the championship. The game where they face each other is going to be very, very interesting if it's still as tight as what it is now.
Yeah.
Is that Boxing Day?
I'm not sure. I'll have to
have a look for you, Jonathan.
I've got a feeling it's Leicester Ipswich on Boxing Day.
A Christmas cracker, some may say. I'm here all week. On to Millwall. We thought that they'd do very well, and they're currently not. This is another stinker in the championship for the 72 review lads. We went with a prediction of 6th. They were close to playoffs last season, weren't they? I think they missed out on by a point or goal difference or something. It was crazy last day. I think they finished 8th, if I remember rightly. And I think we just thought that the push on from that, and it's just not quite happened for them, has it? Currently 5 wins, 6 draws, 10 defeats. It's they're on 21 points, a point above the drop zone. Something needs to change for them to avoid the trapdoor, don't they?
Yeah.
Getting back to what you're saying, Jonathan, you're right. It's Ipswich against Leicester at Portman Road on a 7:45 kickoff on Tuesday, 26th of December.
Wow. Lovely stuff.
We
will be watching that.
This season is the Den is always a fortress. For me, whenever I think of the Den, I think of a hostile crowd. I think of them getting on the back, winding the opposition fans up, being physical, being dirty, being hard to beat. But I don't know if the manager's trying to change their style. And again, it's just not clicked. He came with not a big reputation, but he came with a bit of I think Millwall fans were quite excited about what he could do, and it's just not clicked yet. I mean, they narrowly lost to Leicester midweek, which there's no shame in that, really. I think they led at one point as well. And it just feels to me this season they're depending a bit too much on Tom Bradshaw again to get the goals, and there's no other avenue of goals. I just struggle to see where the goals come from.
And Fleming's not the player he were last season either.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
I think what it is with the championship though is take the top 2 out of it, because like Jonathan said earlier, they're just levels above. But from 3rd down to 20th, 21st, it is such fine margins, and a win or 2, and you see then shoot up the table, or a run of three bad results, and you're struggling again. So I think it's interesting until the end. But yeah, it is fine margins, and when you've got players that have come off the boil from last season, I think that's where these sort of predictions come in, where you're expecting them to push on and get 6th, and then all of a sudden you see them in 20th, which is not good. And another one that we expected to push on from last season, after the playoff final defeat, was Coventry. We had them down in 5th and currently in 14th. So, Ian, a few words on Coventry, mate.
Well, any team that loses Hamer and Gakaris is going to struggle a little bit. But they're still a good side. They're still a very good side, very competitive side. I expected a little bit of a drop-off because they're losing those 2 players alone. But they'll still give anybody a game. They're still strong. Callum O'Hare's come back after a massive injury and scored a couple last weekend. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll probably just outside the top 10 and probably about where they are now, only a little bit higher. But yeah, Coventry, decent side. Good to watch as well. Yeah. And Mark Robbins, what a job he's done there. Taking them up from League 2 to establish themselves as a championship side. Superb manager.
Yeah, got to be It's got to be mentioned, hasn't it, for sure? Another decent prediction from us was Sunderland. We had them. We'll take it. We had them as playoff contenders in fourth, and they're currently there or thereabouts. They're in sixth, with 10 wins, 3 draws, 8 defeats this season. There's a couple of like rogue results in there, aren't there? Where they've gone on a decent run of wins, and then a random defeat will rear its head. So I think they are susceptible to a poor performance. Do we think that could be the difference between them getting in the playoffs and not in such a competitive division up at the top?
Yeah.
Well, they'll need to sort
the
managerial situation out quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm quite surprised that Mowbray got the sack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Jonathan.
No, you're all right. They've got a hell of a young side. You just look at their side. They've got Jack Clark, who's just levels above. Just individually, he's brilliant. They've got Job Bellingham playing as a false 9 at the minute. Hence, they're really struggling for strikers after they've lost Ross Stewart in the summer. And this next managerial appointment is crucial just to keep up the momentum, because I think Sunderland fans will always have Tony Mowbray in high regard after what he did last season, getting them into the playoffs and what he did with such a young side and things like that.
Yeah.
And this next appointment is absolutely critical for me.
Yeah, 100%. Another very good prediction from us boys was Southampton. We, as I said earlier, when we were talking about Leeds, we thought that Leicester and Southampton were the more stable, better equipped for Championship football, and it's coming true a little bit with this one. 11 wins, 6 draws, 4 defeats. The scoring goals, 33 goals, 29 conceded though. They're a solid team, aren't they? I think where they are now is probably where they're going to finish.
They were always going to be top 6. Southampton. You've got the 2 Armstrongs that are performing admirably for them. Possibly, if I were to have a criticism, is they don't seem as dynamic going forward as, say, your Leicester's, say, your Leeds, say, your Ipswich.
Yeah.
They just don't seem to be as attack-minded. But that's no bad thing, because defensively they're quite sound. And we actually managed to get a point there at Southampton, which was incredible. That was the Acker Buster of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll be in the playoffs, and they'll be very, very competitive there in the playoffs. Nobody will want to play Southampton.
No, certainly not.
Yeah.
And from a good prediction to another bad one, there's been a few stinkers in the Championship. We went with Middlesbrough as second place. They're currently in 13th. They've just what has happened at Middlesbrough, Jonathan? They couldn't win a game to start the season. Then they seem to have turned a corner and picked up and got some really good results and started to pull themselves up the table. I think they've got 1 win in 5, or the last 5 league games. I think they've got three defeats on the bounce.
Yeah.
I just can't quite put my finger on what is happening up at Middlesbrough. Can you?
I think losing Chuba Akpom and Cameron Archer was huge, especially someone like Cameron Archer. I think all of us that support our teams would love a striker like Cameron Archer. He was just phenomenal. I think they had Jacob Ramsey on loan as well for half the season from Villa.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And just those 3 towards the end of the season were just different level. And again, they've recruited from Europe. They've got players in like Latte Laff and Silvera who are still bedding into Championship. And
Latte Laff started scoring goals though.
Yeah, he is starting to come to the fore a bit. I do like Morgan Rogers. I'd like to see him played a bit more. I like Semi Dieng as a goalkeeper. I think, unfortunately, he's getting the brunt of the fact that defensively they're not as solid as they were last season. And I think they've left themselves a bit too much to do to get into playoffs this season, just with the quality that's up there at the minute. I'll say that you watch, I'll go on a massive unbeaten run and prove me wrong now. But yeah, I'm not sure where we got this second position from, because there's certainly nowhere near the current top two.
No, they are only 6 points off of the playoffs, though. So, like you say,
what can happen?
it's tight, but not everybody above them is going to lose games while they're winning, and I can't see them winning enough consistently enough to break into that top 6, especially with the quality that's up there at the minute. And then
Now, good prediction.
Oh, good, perfect.
Oh,
There you go.
only one.
I think we went with this because obviously the parachute payments and just the resources that they've got and the players, the squad that they had coming down into the Championship. I think it was clear for anybody who's watched football for any period of time that Leicester were very well set up to give it a very good fight to get straight back into the Premiership, and they're proving that, aren't they? They've won 17 of the 21 games. They've only drawn 1, lost 3. They've scored 41 goals, but the best bit for Leicester is their defensive record. I think they've got the best defence in the EFL. They've only conceded 14 goals in 21 games. The best in League 2 was Barrow with 16. League 1 was Portsmouth and Derby with 16. So, yeah, the best defensive record of the 72 is Leicester with 14 goals conceded in 21 games. And if you don't score, if you don't concede and you score goals, you're going to win games and you're going to win divisions, aren't you? They're just too good. Ian, tell us about Leicester.
Iheanacho, Vardy, Ndidi, and McAtee has come to the front. He were on loan last season at AFC Wimbledon, would you believe? That McAtee. Wow. And he's come and he's scoring goals in Leicester's first team. They're just incredibly strong all over the field. Yeah. And to be honest, they've got limitless resources. They've got the parachute money. They've still to spend the money that they got for Maddison and Barnes. They're going to win this league. Without any question, they're going to win it.
There we go. Jonathan, would you agree with that?
Yeah. Do you guys think that potentially Leicester could be like the best Championship side ever in the history of like the Championship? Are they like levels above Burnley? Because I know Burnley had a real good season last season. You think so?
Yeah, they're a better and stronger club than Burnley were last season.
There we go.
Yeah,
we are fans of Leicester.
I think they could top 100 points.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're on 52 already, 21 games in, so they're halfway there, and we're not.
So they're not going to go down then, Dan. They're not going to go down.
No, they've reached the magic 50, so you'll be all right, Leicester fans. Lovely stuff, and that brings us to the end of this trilogy of catch-up videos. Hopefully I'm not ill too many times in the future, because I don't want to be doing these very often. It's taken up a lot of our time, so I thank Ian and Jonathan for giving up some of their evenings to talk about the 3 divisions and catch up a little bit. I've really enjoyed getting back to kind of an even keel. So yeah, if you've not watched the League 2 or League 1 video yet, please go back and watch that. Jonathan, any final words? What was that, Ian? Sorry?
We're back to normal now.
We are. So 6:30 tonight, 72 review will be live. So we hope to see you there. But yeah, Jonathan, any final words, mate?
I'm just looking forward to seeing an actual football game on the Saturday rather than a postponement or waterlogged pitch or a called off or whatever. So looking forward to getting back to it. Looking forward to the Christmas period with the 4 games in 12 days, and yeah, bring it on. Hopefully I'll be on the 72 review a bit more towards the end of the season.
Lovely stuff. You're always welcome. Ian, any final words before we round off?
No, I'm glad we've caught up. We seem to be okay now. I'm preparing to go to places like Leyton Orient and Shrewsbury next season. Of that, I have no doubt. But it doesn't matter. I mean, you're a fan at the end of the day, and you follow your team regardless of how well they're doing or how poorly they're doing. So I'll still be going.
Yeah, it just makes it a little bit harder sometimes, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
But no, that brings us to the end of this trilogy of videos. Thank you if you've watched them all. Thank you if you've commented on them, and we'll try and get round to them. But yeah, like I say, League 2 was uploaded 2 days ago. League 1 was uploaded yesterday. We've got the Morecambe matchday vlog yesterday and the 72 review live later this evening at 6:30. So if you want to come and join us and comment and get involved, please do. So yeah, please subscribe to Over the Bar and follow Jonathan on Twitter for some decent content as well. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. Like the video, comment in the section down below. And all I can say is thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.